Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today we have something a little special planned. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started with this. Is Microsoft about to pull off the biggest rope-a-dope in gaming history? Let me tell you what rope-a-dope means. It is the practice of it's a boxing tactic, pretending to be up against the ropes, trapped against the ropes, goading your opponent into throwing tiresome, ineffective punches. So that's kind of what I feel like's going on right now with Microsoft this generation. Well, I mean, it kind of started last generation. So let's analyze this for a second. Let's take a look at this, okay? Yeah, you got Microsoft, pretending to be up against the ropes, down console sales, 2-1. You got freaking, they're not talking about console sales no more. They're not talking about Game Pass subscriptions. They are slowly rolling out, or not slowly rolling out, but rolling out, just system level software, that's baked into the hardware to ensure a better gaming experience across the board. Whereas you got Sony on the other side throwing these tiresome punches, throwing out games that are, like first party games that are essentially, the same thing they've always been doing. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, Sony doing what they do, they make good, high-quality first-party games. But, I mean, that's tiresome. It's ineffective. You've got, you've got them, paying for timed exclusives, I mean, come on. We've all seen this. It's tiresome. It's ineffective. You've got them, it's ineffective in the bigger scheme of things. Like, right now, if you're just thinking about, like, oh, yeah, it's a straight-up console war. Yeah, like a console versus console competition. Yeah, I mean, those would be effective punches, in that type of a ring. Whereas this isn't that type of a ring anymore. And you got Sony, like buying, shoring up their first party with necessary, studios that will continue to allow them to function in their little bubble, in their little circle of how they've always been doing things, like buying Nixxes so they can start putting games on PC. I mean, that is a little forward thinking. Then you got them buying, like Blue Point Games to continue to produce, like their older games and bring them up to date and possibly work on new IPs or whatever. But I mean, essentially, in the small picture, like in the bigger picture, these are tiresome, senseless punches that they are throwing, that they are exerting toward Microsoft. And Microsoft is looking at the opponent like, wow, just kind of goading them to, keep going and stuff. But, the bigger picture, I mean, right now, Game Pass is still in a proving phase. So they're keeping the gloves close to the chest. Console sales, not necessarily a big deal because everybody with a smartphone is a potential Xbox customer now. So does that really matter? I mean, if they could play an Xbox game right here on your phone, I mean, like, check that out. You could play your games on your phone on the go with a dedicated, Microsoft controller or one of the other peripherals that are being made right now. There are so much more to this than like what's really going on. I don't believe that Microsoft really believes that they are competing with Sony in any real way aside from first party games. And that's it. I mean, Microsoft bought all these studios, they've yet to produce a whole bunch of, heavy hitting bangers. But toward the end of the year, we get Forza Horizon 5. Yeah, everybody can say that's an old game. Well, so is God of War. You got Halo. Yeah, Halo, it's an old game. So is freaking half the other stuff that the PlayStation's putting out. You can't, but I mean, when you really get down to this and you really start to think about it, yeah, Microsoft is really poised to pull the biggest rope-a-dope in gaming history ever seen. These guys are freaking. There's a train coming and it's going to be unstoppable. When Microsoft throws that knockout blow, when they do throw it out, be like, man, yeah, we got 50,000 Game Pass subscribers and it's growing monthly, or 30. Well, we'll say 30 because that's like the last number that people are talking about is 30, and that's not even necessarily for sure. But I mean, 30 million freaking Game Pass subscribers, cloud gaming. Like, people are like, oh yeah, you could play your phones on the go, but cloud gaming is way more than just cloud gaming. We've seen the first real true next gen title in Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's amazing. Being able to stream that whole planet in there. Microsoft is going to undoubtedly, undoubtedly grow pretty fast this generation. It might not be in console sales, but every Game Pass subscription, every cloud game, every freaking server that they rent out for Sony or somebody to use Azure Cloud, Microsoft is winning big time. It's just not right in front of us. And as Xbox supporters and somebody who has kind of really embraced, the forward thinking that Microsoft has for gaming going forward, I'm expecting to see great things. I mean, I was on the fence for a while there, especially after Crackdown 3, about the whole cloud gaming thing. But after seeing Microsoft Flight Simulator and playing that for as many hours as I have, and the experience that I've received playing that game, with the AI up, yeah, we're poised to see some really big steps in a lot of directions. Is Microsoft going to pull back and focus on a bunch of single party or first party single player games? I don't necessarily. That's a harder market to crack in. That's something that Sony does really well, and Sony's got a lead on that. So, in terms of Microsoft putting out a whole bunch of single player first party games like that, yeah, I mean, I want to temper my expectations on that a little ways. But what I see Microsoft doing and the experiences that they've created on the Microsoft platform, like I'm all in for that. Like I'm happy with the way things are starting to go. I mean, if you think about the way, live service done right is going to be an amazing thing. But live service done where, like Ubisoft's been trying to get into this live service thing, but they just can't seem to get it right. They can't seem to just get, a plan moving forward to where they're actually making the experience better. It's not that I think they're short-sighted. It's just that they're not getting these ambitious plans out fast enough to where these worlds will grow quick enough to continue to support them. They need good, solid, annual chunks of gameplay. You can't sell a game, an annual game at $60, and give you all the stuff to do, and then a year later not have something almost equally substantive to substantiate. It has to be equally substantial, to be able to push that game another year and another year. Gamers would be more off, better to have, those bigger year chunk stuff, and maybe pay that extra, $30-$40 a year for more content like that. And then, like smaller stuff in between that. They would have to support a game like that. Every year you would have to have another big chunk of content to continue to grow that experience. I do see Microsoft going more in that direction, in the live service, type deal. It's far more profitable to create that, and with a service like Game Pass, it makes more sense to have experiences that people are going to want to play. Single player one and done experiences are great, but on the other end, I like the fact that there's more value in games growing and getting bigger and getting better. So yeah, I love what PlayStation does. I do. So I'll keep buying a PlayStation. But when it comes down to it, yeah, Microsoft is poised to create the biggest landslide in gaming history that we've ever seen. Like it was pretty big when PlayStation took over the scene from Nintendo. Like that was pretty loud. Like I went from my Nintendo 64 to my PlayStation 1 and I was like, wow, dude, this is way better experience on the PlayStation 1. Way better freaking games, way better gaming experiences. And Nintendo was stuck in little kid world, and they're still stuck in little kid world for the most of the part. So Nintendo, yeah, like that was a revolution. I mean, Sony in those two generations, Sony PS1 and PS2, seemed to put Nintendo down, put Nintendo in its place in the kid market, and completely knock Sega right out of the freaking running. So that's two consoles that they took down, and now we got Microsoft poised to do basically the same thing on a bigger level, because Sony, definitely took that crown from, Nintendo Nintendo and Sega, whereas Microsoft's about to just boom blow the freaking market up. You know, they're going to be on your cell phone, they're going to be on your console in your house, they're going to be on your TV from a dongle, they're going to be everywhere. Microsoft's going to be everywhere, and Sony is going to still be stuck selling consoles and really high quality first party games that are going to continuously expand that budget bigger and bigger and bigger as every generation goes on. Yeah, Microsoft is probably going to end up walking away the new king of the consoles, or the new king of the gaming space when it comes to, you know, consoles. We still have PCs out there. PC is definitely an ever widening space. You know, a lot of older gamers are starting to go that way. The only thing keeping a lot of gamers from going PC is the fact that PlayStation still makes PlayStations and keeps their first party on there. As soon as those go PC, yeah, dude, I don't know. So this is my prediction about how I think things are going to be going. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.